Good evening. We're pleased to greet you at our live broadcast. And this is an interview with Stanislav Gruntkovsky, a family man, a father to 3 children. And today's topic is just friends. Can this really happen? So we will have about 20 questions that we'll try to ask Stanislav. So by the end of the talk, I hope that you will have a good understanding of how to build relationships with the opposite sexes. But before we start, I would like to show you a short video that we have prepared for you. Yeah, it's a good day to just chill out, and it's a nice. Oh, look at this. Dima said that he likes this. This must be the sign he wants to tell me something by doing so. No, I don't think so. I think he said likes under 6 different other pictures. This shouldn't mean anything. Well, why do you think that he put likes to under other pictures? Well, it's interesting. Well, no geolocation. It's interesting to know where this is. Okay, he wrote a comment. It means something. Truly, truly. Well, I told you. Well, Anton, remember he was liking Alina's pictures for about a month, and then he proposed to her, and then they got married. Well, I don't think this is true. I remember Kirill. He was liking my pictures and then smiling to my stories, and then he's married to somebody else. Remember the dress that we have found in Pinterest about 2 years ago? No, but, well, you should remember it. Yeah, well, let's say we do remember it. You need to have that dress for a wedding. Well, chill out. He just asked where this image was actually shot. Where's the location of this? What shall I tell him? Well, just tell him where it is. No, first, ask him how many relatives he has. Well, do we need to book a big restaurant or a little restaurant for the wedding? This is Etretage. So what is it? I need to know how to get there. Well, how do I get there? It's Paris. Well, it's in France. Well, it's sort of difficult how to get there. Well, he answered me. He's asking, where is it? He said that he will treat me to coffee if I tell him. Well, it must be another sign. No, he's just trying to find out about your information about your trip. Well, Dima must know that we will not agree to coffee so simply. Well, so many messages. What am I doing? What am I doing? The youngest son, the oldest son will be Kirill. He just commented on Alla's story. So, and we will start with questions. So the first question is how, describe me the first love, and what is it, and is it possible? I believe that the first love is so strong emotionally, intellectually, socially, that any person will remember it for the rest of his life, for her life. So you will not be able to forget the fact of existence of this feeling and of that person. However, I don't think that an individual when he doesn't or she does not see any continuation for this story of love, and you want to get rid of it. But what I would like to encourage you is to take out of this experience as many lessons as possible. So when I was in love at the age of 14, it was not mutual. But my lesson was that you cannot play with feelings of other people. So I took this as a lesson for my life, not to break anybody's heart. And secondly, I understood that neither power or career or money will be able to make me happy. So at the age of 14, I was able to set the key priority for my life. And that priority was relationships with people. So hoping that this will lead me to true love. And another lesson is like from this broken love experience, I come to understand that what God feels when He loves me, but this love is not mutual. So this first love can be a very important lesson to you. So try to learn as many lessons as possible from that experience. But true relationships will heal the wounds. So, and pray. I was very young. I was 14. I did not know much about God, but I prayed. I prayed for God's help, and I was praying that God, if you are out there, help me to go through this. Secondly, you need to share your relationship feelings with people you trust. And thirdly, you need to fill your thoughts with something positive. When you stretch your soul before God, and you open before Him and say, well, heal me from this broken heart, from this feeling, and don't feed this feeling. Stay open, read good books, stay with good friends, and definitely God in time will heal you. Thank you, Stanislav. Another question: how much time had passed since that first love moment, and how much time did you need to forget about this so you'll feel relieved? For about a year, I felt burdened. So it took you about a year to go through this. Well, it will not be a copy of my experience, definitely. So it can be anything, but it depends on the depth of the feelings and the seriousness. For me, it took me about a year before I healed completely. Okay, the next question. Another question from an honest guy. How do you not lie to a lady that you like, and so you'll feel if I say my real goals, she will feel like I'm strange. So he likes her. He even would like to invite her for coffee or tea, but real intentions and goals, he tries to keep them hidden because he can be misunderstood. I think you need to understand here, like, what do you really want? If you feel like this is your chosen one, the one that you wish to propose, your heart, your relationships that you would like to build for the rest of your life, so be courageous and move forward. You don't have to tell everything at the first meeting, but you need to say that you are serious about your intentions. But if you are not serious, if you just feel sexual attraction, just don't do this, okay? Because it's even sinful. Okay, but if in case I have never seen the guy or known the guy, and all of a sudden I feel like he's inviting me, and he wants to tell me his intentions, etc. So what do we do when a guy that I do not really know all of a sudden invites you to a date? That's a good question. I think A lady, in this case, would like to ask what exactly does he would like to talk about. If it's a public place, if it's a question related to like professional activity, education, related to their common friends, details he would like to express or discuss about the mutual experience. If it's about a third person, so it will be honest to ask such individual, like, why are you asking me out, what for a date? All right, that's fair enough. Okay, but how? And that's next question: how do we find a good partner in the ministry that it doesn't have many candidates? Okay. What type of ministries are we talking about? Because ministries are not so compartmentalized. Well, I know particularly ministries like, baby showers, and my wife would never take me to meetings like that. But of course, if you'd like to help, I can ask and help there. But such ministries are very limited. I think if it's a question from a guy, if he cannot become a part of a team that is carrying this particular ministry, it's, well, I'm on youth, especially here in Irpin Baptist Church. There are multiple programs where you can become a part of different teams. One of the biggest one is Irpin Sports Fest, and you can interact with many ministry teams. So you can become a part of any team. You can become part of any ministry because we're a big church. We as a church are split into home groups, but you say like your team, you are getting a guy in your team whose only intention is to build relationships, say, with Allah. So he's not interested in the ministry success, but he is interested in his personal relationships with Allah. Well, probably not. Well, first thing I would like to find out is I would like to find out about his intentions and goals for being in part of my team. Of course, he can hide his intentions. Well, this is my encouragement. Become a part of good team and invest. Invest yourself fully. And the best way you can learn about other people is in missionary trips when conditions are not so great, when you need to take like cold showers, you need to sleep not at your favorite beds, or when you need to cook on your own. You learn a lot about other people. So I think it's a good recommendation. Fair. Another question. Being asked always, is there such a thing as just straight friendship between guys and girls? So if it is yes, what do you mean by friendship? And so if you talk within the boundaries of such friendship, can you talk about anything? Well, I do believe that it can be a fair friendship. Friendship about something. So let's discuss a team of, let's say, youth ministry, teenagers, teenage ministry, or youth club, or sports ministry, or social ministry of any kind. Young people may have, we can have 70 to 100 people, but the team is only like 8 to 12 people. And the more you meet, the more you know each other, the better you know each other. And your relationships become open, emotionally open, and you become closer friends. And so in this circle of friends, you can say, I have friends among men and among women. And this friendship is about something we do together. But if we're talking about friendship, not related to any particular goal or business, the friendship for the sake of friendship, and that we're trying to get rid of any romanticism and romantic steps. So in this respect, I do not believe that such friendship does exist. But say a guy and a girl believe that they simply friends, and so yes, can we say that somebody's deceiving the other guy? I think so. I think this is the way it started with me. In my case, so we were part of worship team. We had trips. We had rehearsals, and so she had hopes long before I begin to notice her. So, since you have started about your relationships with Allah, how did it all happen? So, was it just dating, being together, just only two of you? As soon as you begin to have this desire to be together just alone, this friendship becomes a romantic friendship. So be honest with yourself and be bold to say that this is what you want, and also be serious and say, okay, and tell other individual that you're serious about your future plans. So there are very many situations like that. So we say they're just friends, and this can mean many things. But so you believe in friendship between a boy and a girl in a group of people? Yes, I do. Do you have friends among ladies today? I would say yes. You know, in our team of family ministry, we have a club called Together Forever. So there are couples that we are friends with, and me and Alla, we've befriended them in the same way with me, I believe. We are friends as families. And so what does it mean? Practically, it means that you can share about your struggles with them. They can be more open before you, and this is a good friendship. All right. How do you tell a guy or a girl that the feelings they experience are not mutual? Well, I think you need to first respect the feelings of that individual and understand that this is painful. To hear no, it is painful. When you are careful with other emotions of other men, I try to even write down several sentences that you wish to communicate, that you write with your respect. Well, and be sure that when you say no, that this no doesn't mean that this person is inferior. Well, it's very painful to hear no from a person you love, and you begin to think that, okay, it's probably something is wrong with me. So if it's not the case, find something good about this individual, something positive, and say something very serious and say a compliment, and then without fear, but very strictly say that you unfortunately don't feel the mutuality. But maybe you should not be so fast to say no. Maybe there's somebody who is trying to find a connection with you, but you don't feel anything. So you don't have to keep the thread sort of line tight in to make sure that person is not going too far away from you, and while you're looking for other options somewhere on the side. But no, this is not what I mean. Talk about this situation with God, with your people, you know, people who care about you, maybe your mom and dad, your coaches. But why am I saying this is because later something may happen to your heart, and your heart may change, and your feelings may change. Things like that happen.
Okay, the next question. Should I accept presents from the guy if I don't like him and he knows about it? Igor, have you ever been in a situation like that? I've never accepted gifts from guys. Oh, I like that. I like your humor. Very interesting. He knows that she doesn't like him. Am I right? Yeah, but he's still knocking. He knows that she doesn't like him. He knows that from her words, there's no perspective to win the prize, but he's still wasting his energy, time, money. Question is, what shall he do? What about the girl who doesn't have any feelings towards him? So if we were talking about how to say correctly to the guy, reassess his efforts and be firm. Tell him, ask him, do these presents mean anything? What do they mean? Why he continues to give these gifts? I think the girl should ask these questions. Yeah, but you never answered the question. Should he receive or no? Oh yeah, while he'll be thinking, she'll receive a couple of presents. You know what? Not only me, it was not only me who fell in love with Alla. Me and my friend from the church, he fell in love with her. He gave chocolates to Alla, and the same day I would come to meet her, and together with her family we would eat these chocolates. So Alla took some of the presents, even though she didn't have any feelings towards this guy. So you need to stay honest and remain honest and tell him that you don't have any feelings. Show respect to these gifts and tell him what does he expect from these gifts. And if he doesn't expect anything, it's just desire to do a good act of kindness. Maybe it's his love language. Maybe he's giving gifts not just to you alone. Maybe it's just expression of his love. So accept these gifts with gratitude. Maybe this is how they pay him salary. Barter. You had a friend who gave Alla gifts, and this friend, is he still alive? Yes, we are good friends until now. I think, Igor, this is something unique that should occur between Christians when we are friends, and then all of a sudden we feel these feelings towards one girl, and we understand that if the two of us, we both trust God, and she responds with mutual feelings, then he doesn't see enemy in me. Actually, he's married. He's a wonderful wife. He's a blessed minister. So he's happy. So we're not competitors. That's good. Okay, another question. If the young man invites the girl for a cup of coffee, should she agree? Because from just one meeting, there's nothing wrong with just one meeting. But if you go to a cup of coffee with this guy, that guy, third guy, you will have a bad reputation. What should be the right reaction of the girl? I like that the girl is asking a question about reputation. It's a very good question. I respect that girl because good name is better than the big house. This is resource. It's capital. And you should never actually waste your reputation. I think that you can refuse first time. You can ask him, is it just for a cup of coffee, or is there a question that you would like to discuss? If it's just to have a cup of coffee and there's nothing that stands behind it, maybe during this cup of coffee, young man will want to tell her that he has feelings and he's had them for a long time. I think that in a good public place, to have a cup of coffee, to sit and listen to what the young man would want to say, I wouldn't refuse this idea. Maybe this can be the beginning of the interesting story. On the other hand, if there are many guys and they will be suggesting cup of coffee to her, and if you go for a cup of coffee with each of these guys, yes, reputation can be a little bit ruined. Yeah, you will become the coffee lover. Alla, I wouldn't want the girl to be very strict about meeting like that. She needs to be open and give a chance to the guy to speak about his feelings. If she doesn't like this method, maybe she can suggest another method. Oh, maybe having a cup of tea. Or maybe this can be... Maybe they go for a walk. They went to the small group with young people. Usually guys are taking girls to their homes after small group. So spend extra 5-10 minutes after small group and talk somewhere outside. I would say she shouldn't be afraid to accept such a suggestion, such offer, but she has to be creative. Another question. Right now, girls think that good relationships can be associated with the flirt. Where's the line? Actually, flirt, it's touches, it's expression of faces that aim towards attracting attention, and they have erotic signals that one person is sending towards another one, and the message is, I want you. So I think that flirt is not acceptable. Only husbands and wives can flirt with each other. It's a wonderful game that the book of Ecclesiastes, it shows the flirt. So if the guy opens the door before the girl, this is not a flirt. No, this is being a gentleman. This is good. It's being polite. Okay. Right now, many girls... Okay, he brought her cup of coffee or cup of tea. Many girls perceive these things. Oh, I think he likes me. Yes, he likes me. He likes me. So they start thinking about it. Not all girls feel that, but how can guys tell the girls, I'm just a polite girl? Well, I don't think that the guy should start expressing these good gestures, and it's the brother's care for the sister. I think he can bravely continue this. If the girl starts thinking about this is her problem, not his. I think that this guy shouldn't be afraid if he acts like that towards other girls as well, because everybody will see that it's not a surprise because he acts like that towards all girls. It's not a flirt. I want to tell you, it's not a flirt, but it's a special signal that he's trying to send. Or if he's never tried to take girls home, and then here he says, can I take you home? Then this means something special. What if throughout a long time he's been writing to you, maybe for 6 months, and then he does nothing? How should the girl act? She should continue the communication, or she should say, I'm sorry, thank you, goodbye. You know, Igor might agree with me that girls are very impatient. Why he's writing me for 6 months and he's not giving me any serious offers? Guys, listen to me. Guys, girls don't know that some boys are writing to other girls as well. Okay, so the girl shouldn't squeeze out of this communication and from these relationships something more than what he can give at this current time, at this current state. If he starts giving hints and he really lacks words to be more open, then girls shouldn't be afraid to ask direct questions. So why are we doing this communication? Is it just sympathy, or we are just in quarantine and we lack live communication? So he talks to 5 guys and 3 girls. So he's writing to all of them in equal amounts. Is it normal that in such relationships, in communications, new relationships can start and this can grow into something bigger. Coffee, tea? Yes, of course. Do you know such cases? Yes, I've heard such stories. I think these examples will be like that more and more within next 5-10 years, because they are more communicating now over the phone than through via mail. Yes. That's why examples will come up a little later, and then they will go straight to the preparation classes before marriage. Is it normal that the guy who is in relationships with you, he meets with girls and with guys in a group of people, and then how can you explain to this guy that this is not normal because he's not inviting you with him as he's going to communicate with? Is it bad when there are 2 guys and 5 girls? So besides him, there are 2 other guys, right? Yes, they go as a company, as a group of people, they go out for a walk. Is it a problem? No. Maybe it's not a signal that there is a problem, but if the guy reacts to stories, he comments them. Question is how he comments them. But in this story, what disturbs me is that this girl, she told him about her feelings. She told him that she doesn't like it. She sees something wrong in this. It's not wise to her point of view. And this attentiveness, this friendliness goes beyond the boundaries that she thinks that are right, even though they're getting ready for the marriage. I would recommend the young man to be more serious about what the girl is saying, because love means to put feelings of the loved, beloved person higher than your own desires and feelings. You know, the closest person that, if that person expresses that she is not feeling comfortable with you going for a walk, don't do it. And then later, if this couple will go to meet with the pastor before getting ready for the marriage, the pastor should ask the question about jealousy. Is it good to be jealous or bad? Jealousy can be a strong sign of the genuine feelings of love. God was jealous when Israel nation started worshiping idols. Yes, God is jealous. But jealousy has the right to exist when there is legitimacy in relationships. If I have promised my wife during wedding ceremony, I told my wife yes, and I told other women no, 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 no. If those no, no, no turns into I don't know, then my wife has the right to be jealous. If this young couple, if they are already in the status of engaged, I think it's a serious signal for the young man to think about it. Yes, it's better to think and take into account. So, our topic is romantic relationships, 5 myths about relationships between young men and girls. 5 myths. My most favorite myth, and it refers to all people. Remember, God has created marriage not to make us happy. If you want to get married to become happy, you are in the slavery of illusions. This is a myth. Myth number 2. Maybe some people won't agree with me, but second myth, there's only one person in the whole earth that will be the perfect fit for me, and she will. My mission in life among 7 billion of people my mission is to find her. What if she's somewhere in Latin America or in Africa or in China? I think it's a myth, because indeed we can fit to our spouse, not before wedding, but after wedding, after we have bound ourselves in the walls of covenant. This means, this is all. Now, there are two of us. For me, she exists. No other women exist for me. So do I understand correctly? Any girl potentially can be our wife? Yes. You should have a key criteria that both guys and girls should should have as guidelines. God has called me to represent His image, so she should be a real Christian girl. Godly girl. I want her to have these and those features. I want her to be spiritually mature, and of course there can be a couple of girls like that. The question is, to whom of these wonderful girls he will feel this internal feeling, desire, and then support of mom and dad. I think it's a myth. If people think that if I marry the young man, a Christian man, then I will be, our marriage will be strong. If two Christians get married, there's no guarantee that they'll be happy in marriage, unless if Jesus is in the boat. Another myth. If I marry him or her, I will help her to be, or him to be better. You can't make the other person better. So to feed inside of you this idea that I'll help him, I will change him, I will grab him in my hands and I will make him a real man, real woman. I need to be perseverant in my intentions. No, you can't change the person. Very often person cannot change himself. We can create atmosphere where it can be easier or to change. We can bring this desire to change someone.
All right, can you shortly repeat all of 5? Because I'm sort of lost here. So, first, marriage is not to make us happy, but to make us better. It's the first one. All right, we become fit for marriage after our promises, so we need to have a certain criteria. So marrying a Christian, it does not promise you to have no problems in your Christian, in your wedding, in your relationships. What else? The fact that we are in the marriage to change each other. So okay, another one. I think it would be fair to say it's a myth that the euphoria that people feel that they call love will remain so intense through the rest of your life and will not be tested and bombarded. I'm talking about the emotion that you feel. It will be tested. It will fade. So people may go through some very difficult situations when they will not feel anything. Doesn't mean that you stop loving. No. Love means not just emotional side of things, but the will and commitment. So it's doing right even when you don't feel like doing it emotionally. This is the way I understand love. It's not just feelings, but also commitment. All right. Can you then marry somebody without these emotions, with this strict understanding? Would you love to do this? Well, I'm not afraid of doing this. So if he's rich and he is famous, well, and a believer, maybe. Well, feelings may come and go and may dissipate after the marriage. Shall we use them as a foundation? No, certainly not as a foundation. Let's appeal to the statistics. The majority of couples who are getting married, do they feel anything? Of course they do. I mean, so what? And then half of them, they end up in divorce, and those who do not end up in divorce live so-so, and they don't care for each other. So let's be reminded about times where young people did not decide anything. You know, let's imagine like your father is deciding who's going to be your wife. So, yeah, I found you a good lady. Like, what would she feel at the first meeting, first date? Maybe she heard something about the guy. You know, we're not saying that this is the best way to do it, but it doesn't negate the fact that there were so many happy families born as a result of this. So what do these feelings mean then? Say you do not feel any romance, any strong feelings. I would probably agree. And so would you love such an individual? Of course, over time, I agree. So, but most of the times, unfortunately, since the role of parents is diminishing, and for many young people right now is this, the feeling becomes the greatest criteria. How do I get married to somebody who I do not feel anything, but Alla says she could do it? Well, of course, you can do it. So, of course, if you commit yourself to this individual, you will fall in love. But truly, this is my personal opinion. I'm not trying to convince anybody. Okay, but can you say that love, it's first of all a choice? Well, what helps in this decision, there are some good, nice-looking ladies out there, or men who are Christians, but this pleasant feeling that drives you, leads you to relationships with somebody, and this can be your compass to guide you toward. But what if it never happens? And somebody proposed you, and lady does not feel like, okay, I feel like loving him, but I don't feel like, why not? Yeah, I do not know. I don't have any specific reasons. And they say, he's a great guy. And your parents say he's a great guy. Your friends say he's a great guy. So I just once heard the story when one lady shared that she liked two different guys. She felt more of a romantic feelings toward one of the guys. And she understood that it will be much better to live with this guy, and the other guy that she did not feel such strong feelings toward him. And she decided toward this guy, and she never regretted. So my comment is just don't base your relationships on the emotions. Okay, what if different guys are writing you, and you are not very interested in relationships with them? Do you need to just say, okay, well, you are not interested, etc.? Well, why do they compliment you? Do they compliment you pictures that you post on the Facebook? What kind of pictures are we talking about? What she is trying to say in those pictures? Okay, you know that the flies are flying to, to the sweet. So bees, flies, they are attracted to different stuff, So excess attention of men many time when it's not substantiated by anything, you just may ignore them or may refuse to answer the messages, etc. So say like you were singing and some commented that, okay, you sang well this time and this is okay, but if you posted some picture and 20 guys just wrote different comments, and so it's keep on repeating and repeating, and you feel no feelings and you do not wish to gather such attention, you may think about not posting such images, or say, okay, yes, just say thank you for your comment and just ignore it. Okay, but what if a boy is sending you some inappropriate information, like the master class on dances, like very open and very explicit dancings? Well, I think such a lady need to find very honest words of rebuke, to tell how difficult this is for her, how inappropriate this is, and that she doesn't find this to be appropriate at all. Just say no to this, and that's it. So what do you do about a guy you're dating with, and you're about to get married, and you're against hugs and kisses, and he's insisting on it, and you're opposing to it. So what do you do? Well, I believe that they have not gone through premarital counseling. I highly recommend this. During the premarital counseling sessions, the topic of borders and boundaries is discussed. And I think it's these boundaries that we have, they delineate our comfort zones, and there's things that are not appropriate for the young people before marriage. I think it's worth discussing where those boundaries lie as you talk between yourselves. So what can influence understanding of a lady and a man? For instance, the girl may be from a family trained in, her mom trained her about abstaining and being very careful, and she knows the story of her oldest sisters, and she feels like kissing before wedding is inappropriate. This is the way she understands it. Let's say that this way. And a man, for instance, he would not wish to push this boundary too far to go into petting and kisses, etc. But he would like to just hug and kiss his beloved lady. He needs to understand, though, when he's pushing to his beloved lady to go against her will, he's breaking the most important thing she has. She is breaking her relationships with God, and she feels guilty. You're sort of putting this time bomb into your future relationships. So for such a lady, I believe she needs to tell to such a man about her convenient boundaries in her relationships with God, so she will not feel ashamed before God and before mom and dad, like whose mom can ask, like, well, how far did you go in your relationships? And so it is difficult. I think it has to be discussed. With me and Marina, as we just started our relationships, we discussed that. We have discussed the boundaries. And I think you need to start negotiate, at the riverbank. When you jump into a ship and you're off into the sea, it's too late to decide. So I think it has to be decided. And in this question, our boy feels offended. But maybe a lady should be offended even at the asking. But I think the boy need to really respect such a lady. I think such principles worth a lot. So ladies, pay attention. Such ladies are high demand, and do not give up the most important thing that you have. Okay, the next question. What do you do if one of the sides of the relationships cannot figure out what they want, actually. Take a break. You need to be honest with your partner and say, okay, I'm confused here. I need a pause. What does it mean, though? It means that we need to limit our fellowship for a certain time. It can be like a month of time, a half a year of time. An individual has a right to ask for sufficient time. So to say somebody's like, I need time, I need a break. So another individual has to respect that. So what do you do during that break? I think there's at least three things. So first of all, you need to understand God's heart for your marriage better. You can, for instance, read Paul Tripp. What were you waiting for? Or go through a course of premarital counseling. Be open with somebody who will help you to figure out your expectations. Maybe it's not about that individual, but maybe about you. Maybe you feel like, okay, you're not ready, you're not mature. Maybe that individual all of a sudden feels the level of responsibility that she's not ready for or he's not ready for. So it's a way inside of yourself. So you need to be honest. You need to be praying about that. And you need to be in relationships with your trainers, with your parents maybe too. And the third trip is inside of the world of that individual. So what did you see in this man or a woman that caused you to doubt? And so if you are unsure about the difference that you're not willing to accept. For instance, Igor, maybe you feel like, okay, he's too stingy. Well, she is generous and he's stingy, and she's different. She's ready to share. And so for 2 or 3 different times, she feels like, okay, he's being too stingy. How can I live with such an individual? He's trying to save everywhere. He's not sharing. And so open up before God, open up before your trainers, people who love you, people who you can be open with, and try to investigate this. Okay, it's an interesting question. And let me tell you about a real case. So a boy and a girl, they dated for about a year. And then I asked the guy, why have you decided to split? Well, I come to understand that this is not God's will. Well, could you see it earlier? Well, it's easy to blame God that this is not His will to continue, etc. And I know such cases do happen. And how do we act correctly for girls and for men? Well, understanding the will of God, should not be idealized. The point, the final point, is set at the time of our wedding. This is what God proclaims, that this is it. And whatever is then sealed by God, no man should tear apart. But until then, they are in this travel, in this trip of understanding. Of course, it is about their mutual relationships and their understanding the will of God, and did they have experience of listening to the will of God? Had they had this experience of critical evaluation of their emotions and their feelings? Had they had this moments of revising their worldviews, allowing other people to train them, etc.? So they are sort of young, they're not experienced, but they can open up to others. They can pray about this, about they can allow other friends into their relationships, and all of a sudden they feel like, okay, they're not fit for each other. Okay. But the true story is they ended up being married, and the story ended well. And so as I talk to this guy, I should sort of ask him, you said that it was not God's will, but then it ended up well, but you could have been more honest and said, okay, I was not ready at that particular moment. And you wanted to have a pause. But it's easy to blame God and say, okay, it's not God's will. I think this was very serious for him to say this. It's not when he said it's not God's will. Maybe he felt like it's not God's time to get married at that particular time. Yes, I think you're right. You need to be honest. You need to be open and clearly say about your doubts, your lack of maturity. But you better discuss that with people who are interested in you, who love you, before you discuss it with the person you love. Okay, what should be discussed before you propose another person to date? Okay, what topics should be raised and discussed? Whoa. Okay, who is asking the question? Is that a guy or a girl? Okay, it's a guy. I think it's worth both for a guy and a girl in a circle of their good friends to have relationships open enough that where you can discuss things like your dreams about your life, value of money, value of your dreams. How do you value success? Where do you see success? What do you find worth dying for? Where will you be willing to compromise or unwilling to compromise? So these are broad questions that help you to understand the values of that other person. And then you can talk about how do you see marriage relationships. What do you expect of marriage? What criteria need to for your a person of your choice need to meet? Like, I think it will be interesting to hear that. So these talks help you to scan the inner world of that individual, of that lady or guy or girl, and to scan it and hopefully not find something horrible, like selfish, godless. And so in case if you scan it like that, from these broad perspective, from broad topics, in the circle of friends, and you see no red lights flashing, if your feelings are serious, you need to tell her about these feelings. And then if we're talking about a guy who is leading here, he needs to of course show up and see mom and dad of that lady and tell them about the feelings he has and ask for a permission to date her. And maybe he needs to hear expectations and criteria they have for him. He needs to evaluate himself, because this will be a meeting the other side, so they will feel like, who is this guy that we all of a sudden see? Now I understand why guys are so intimidated. Oh, of course it is intimidating. Once a lady told me that the greatest blessing was not when he proposed, but when he talked to my parents. I knew he was scared, but then it showed me how serious he was and how wise he was, because he did it. Especially if you feel like a wild eagle and her father is a professional hunter. So your willingness to face it really shows that you're serious. Okay, but so this gathering of intelligence can be done in a wider circle of friends. Even through games, you can ask anybody this open question. This open learning of each other, this can be done in the broader circle of friends. I think this is most interesting thing. I think be wise and use this.
What do you think if the girl is encouraging her young man to earn more money? Is this normal or no? Oh, is this a question from a girl or a young man? She wants to get an alibi. You know what? I want a young girl to understand the following. That the true success, by the way, on my right, there is a successful man who's sitting here. And what I think is that real success can be reached not when there is money. The true success can be reached when you find the business idea, something that you, for the sake of which you want to change this whole world. When something inside is almost makes you burn, you have the passion, you have the fire inside, and besides that, you are professional, you're growing in your qualification with every year, you're getting more and more expensive from the standpoint of the money that you can get per hour. Then the girl should not assess her fiance with the money that he earns now, because now he has good salary. Does it mean that this is one of the main reasons why she wants to marry him? This is a serious challenge for her. What if he won't be able to earn big salary? Would she be able to really love this poor guy and follow him? I want this girl to look at him with different eyes. I want her to help him even more passionate and braver in the profession that he has, and encourage him to find another job. If fear paralyzes him, help her to grow, to develop, but don't put money at the foundation of your life. Okay. A question. What income did I have when I got married? So what income did you have when you got married? When you and Marina were getting married? 0. Really? 0. I didn't earn anything. So who married you? Which pastor laid his hands on you? So that's our situation. At that time, I didn't earn anything, but I had a big desire. What does it mean? You didn't work anywhere? You were a lazy man sitting on your sofa? No, I was trying to find myself. I was searching. My first income, the biggest one in my life, it was during the first month of our married life. First month and then second month, and it got bigger and bigger. And I remember when Marina, my wife, she was motivating me. I had desire to do it because there's a new family that was born. I wanted to allow my wife to buy more things. So I thought how much wife can encourage husband to grow, and she can also kill the desire in him and say, oh, look at that man, and she compares him with others. So you can praise your husband or you can scold. Actually, my mother-in-law, she helped me a lot. She can encourage people to do great things because she didn't like how the yard of her neighbor looked, and she praised him, and he started changing, and he transformed his yard because she was telling him, Koля, you're such a good host. When she was praising me, and she told me I'm a good and smart man and I have many talents and gifts, of course I was encouraged and inspired, and I wanted to do something greater. You know, Igor, I think our communication is about the motives of this girl. What does she really want? Does she want to have see her husband successful? Does she want him to be great man who has implemented all his gifts and talents, or she just wants to be rich? What if we look at this position, when a girl is motivating or demotivating the young man, and he's a lazy person? You know what? Why this premarital course is so important? Because there is a chapter that is dedicated to the topic of finances, but it's closer to the end. I think it's lesson 7th. But there is a chapter called Big Hopes, where we will talk about different expectations, where they want to live, how they imagine to themselves career growth, how they see participation of each other in big purchases. Do they allow debts, loans or not? Is it acceptable or not? So for these people, this premarital course is very significant. Don't be lazy, because each one of us can have a blind zone. The girl doesn't see herself, because if she talks to him about finances, then she doesn't see her own intentions and her own desires. But this course will help her see better. How can you understand the interest of guys if his attitude towards all girls is very good? Oh, this is a good question. So he just respects sisters of the church. He respects them, and she likes him so much. She wants him to show special attention to her, and she hopes and that maybe he likes her a little bit more than other sisters. And he loves all the sisters of the church. Oh, you need to be patient and talk to God about it. Pray about it. Pray and pray about it. Open up your feelings before God and open your desires before God. And put success of and feelings of this guy higher than your own affection. If you like him or love him, then you wish happiness for this young man, bless him, and keyword, wait, and be long endurance, be patient. Or, maybe he will invite many girls for a cup of coffee. Well, the time will come and he will offer to someone. How can the young man understand that he's ready to get married? If the young man physically is mature, he's not 14, he's not 15, and he's in the age that allows him to work physically and be independent. If he is spiritually mature, and what does it mean? He is reborn again. He's not Christian for the check mark. No, he demonstrates the signs of the fruit of the Holy Spirit. He's a live disciple of Jesus Christ. He reads scripture. It's his priorities, his activity. He has desire to give offerings and serve others. And if he is ready to take responsibility for his future marriage, and he's in the age and law allows him to get married, I think that minimum is already reached by him. So 19 is normal? Yes. He lives with parents? No. if he lives by himself at 19, it's okay. You know what? He will have to leave his mom and dad, and he will have to make this nest in another place. He needs to make a good living. By the way, where did you start living together? In which nest? With mom and dad? No, really not? Good job. So how could you pay rent? I had savings. Actually, I had some finances. How old were you? I was 21. I was 22 when I got married. Some people get married at 19 and they're pretty mature people. Some people marry at 25 and it's not... they're not ready yet. Actually, ask your mom and dad. Ask your mentor and say, Mom and Dad, am I ready? You know, son, yes. I think you have all the knowledge, you have all the features, worldview, habits, skills. If they say, oh dear, I think you're... need to wait for 2-3 years. Listen to these advice. Yes, it's better to listen and ask older people. But parents can also say, yes, of course, go. We dream when you leave our nest. The second question, how can you understand that a young girl is ready to get married? It's easy. It's an easy question and a complex question. If you are ready to dedicate yourself to one person to be his helper, if you are Christian girl, you are reborn again, and someone has offered the hand and heart, again, mom and dad, mentors are very, very important. If you don't know how to forgive, you're 23, 25, you have a good living, but you're not content, you're unhappy, you always complain, no one can satisfy you, you are not thankful, you are in a despair. So what? You can get money. So what? You have 2 diplomas. It's worth nothing. But you can be 20, 22 years old, but the girl is very mature in her character. Slavik, another question. In consulting, I know you have a huge experience. Who is more mature, girls or young men? Oh, I'm trying to think about it. Recent couples that I've been consulting. Igor, you know? I cannot see the regularity. Maybe you would like to hear boys or girls. It's different. I will not say that 70% to 30%. I had both cases. But even if in family, if there is one mature person, it's better. How can you understand that girl is truly godly and she's smart in the age when they all adore reading Bible and cook food? I don't know where he found those girls. And how can he say that they all love to read Bible and cook food? I don't know where he found those girls. And they're cooking food, and then they never stop reading Bible. Wow, what a world we live in. I would like to see this place where there's so many good girls. Actually, look in the circle around you. You hear how the person prays. You see how the person comments scripture. You see how the person reacts to criticism. You see how the person refers to the calling to serve. You look at her Instagram, what she posts on Instagram, what she likes. You look at her appearance. You look at her manner of communication with other people, and then you start understanding what she values, who she values. Before, so you send this group of intelligence. You can, and then many questions can be answered. How can you find the one among many good girls? If each one is potential good girl, each one of them reads Bible and good food, and then parents say, okay, go get married. It's an interesting question, Igor. It's easy and it's difficult. For me, if I take into account my opinion, my experience, I would recommend to the young man to pray to God to give him this, that God would turn on this bulb inside of this man with affection, with a deeper feeling towards one of these girls. And I believe that God can do it. God has done it in my life and in the life of many other people. Okay, another thought. Often it's about me. I need to make the decision. If I'm not sure in any of these decisions, maybe I should take the pause and not make any decision at all. Just wait. It's okay that I'm 37 years old, right? 37? I can still wait for another year. No, not necessarily 1 year, but just let it go. I don't think this person is under pressure of time, but Igor, I think that it would be nice if he could share the burden of his decision with someone else. Again, I want to encourage you, don't stay alone with your solution by yourself. Share with your mom, dad, friend, brother, someone you trust, someone you can let in your heart, in your life. This is God's guidance. And then miracles happen. That's the next question. What can we do if mom and dad wants you to get married and they give you a hint that something's wrong with you? 37 or 19? What if the person is just 19? Wait, 19 and 37, that's a huge difference. I would recommend this person to try to understand better what makes his or her parents worry. What is it that makes them nervous? Because I have a couple of good friends whose children are in that age, and parents are almost pushing them. Go ahead. But their hearts are not ready. The young man is still trying to find his life's mission, his position in life, and he's waiting for those feelings to be acute. He's not such a good believer as you are, Alla, especially if he needs to be the initiator. He needs to make the first step towards her. So you need to be ready that mom and dad will say again and again, and he needs to be patient, and he needs to tell them, okay, I'm just waiting, I'm praying about it, but he needs to think and tell them, understand what makes them so anxious. And he needs to let his parents into the internal world and explain why he is not making such serious steps. So it's the same advice that can be applied to 19-year-old and 37-year-old? Yes, because if someone in your surrounding is telling you, okay, pay attention to this or that, then that person maybe needs to understand your life. There should be mutual understanding there.
Another interesting question. I'm afraid I will always be alone without being able to find that special somebody. Well, don't be afraid. Yeah, you may fear that a guy or girl will not like you and you will be miserable the rest of your life. You know, this is lie. don't try to be happy afterwards. Sometimes in the future, when your prince on a white horse or princess will ride into your life, especially if you're a Christian, you can be fulfilled today. Enjoy God, enjoy His creation, enjoy friendship, enjoy creativity, nature, work, career, especially if you compassionate toward pain that you see around you in this world. This inward drivenness will paralyze you. Don't be afraid. Take your fear and give it to God. Don't just try to tie your happiness to an individual who is sinful and selfish. Such an individual will not be able to make you happy in the sense that you were hoping for. Don't be afraid, but live fulfilled life today, even if you're 37. Exactly. So there's still life, even if you're 37 and 38. Okay, we have 2 more questions. That's good to hear. I think 1 more question. All right, so we'll sum it up. Igor, well, say I'm 23. I have a job and an opportunity to rent an apartment. And I have a girl that I like, but what should be my next cue, sort of, to make a next step in life? So what else should I have to be able to move forward? Well, my first suggestion would be, he needs to understand, why does he need to get married? He wants to get married. Why? Because one of the most common reasons of misery and feeling discouraged in your marriage is the wrong motivation. Do you want a lawful sex? You want a mama's care? She will be your wife, but she will play a role of your mama. Or you understand that relationships in your life will drive you to reach the new heights. And that means that you will die for yourself, that your selfishness will die. I'm not trying to discourage you from the next step, but what can be a flag that sort of points you to the next step? If you see that this lady is somebody that you're willing to serve, protect, treasure for the rest of your life, just tell it to her. And if it's just you have your friends and you never prayed, you never felt like this is very serious, try to pray about it until you arrive at the point of inner understanding that, yes, I want to make family with that individual. What other cues do you need? I think understanding the fact that this is an individual that I would like to live all my life with. If I can't imagine myself living all my life and being like 50, 60, 70 years old with this person at my side. So I think you need to make this move. Thank you very much. Thank you, Igor. But at the end, from both of you, I would like to hear, maybe you're both married, right? And right now you can address great number of guys and girls and just sum it up by telling them what's the most important. Well, from our conversation, I just arrived at the interesting conclusion. Let me repeat it for the 3rd time. So I wish for both guys and girls to be open to, be very observant. and do your research at the home group, in the church, and do your own study outside of one-on-one relationships. So I think many hearts can be spared from brokenness if you do your intelligence study first, So when you observe a person from distance, how she behaves, he behaves, what's important to see if this individual can behave well with other individuals that he's not so serious about. So for me, my relationships with Marina, I wrote her, and she would refuse to date with me, and I would then invite her over again, and she would say no, and then a year later, I would invite her again. So it was a time of my life, and I knew from the first meeting when we dated, she asked me what my expectations are. I told her that this is serious. I did not need to research her and better know her. I knew that I had a wholesome picture, understanding of who she is, and I was able to say that I'm serious about these relationships. Well, Igor, I can add to what you say in the following way. So you have actually pointed young people to this work of research. So for this research, you need a criteria that you're looking for in a person of your choice, and you need to have skills. But so I would say prepare yourself. Again and again, I would tell to any young man and woman, be ready not for a wedding but for a marriage. Fill your spiritual life, fill your understanding with God's principles for marriage. So invest in reading books, going to seminars, going and maybe learning from couples who live well with each other, who are doing well, because they're well of knowledge and good principles and good practices. So train yourself. Work together with God, training in your character traits like forgiving, kindness, patience, and prepare your future marriage by preparing your personal relationships with God. These are key character traits that prove that God is the highest priority, highest authority in your life. This will guarantee your good marriage. So, and don't give up. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching us today. Thank you for sending us your questions. It's very important for us to be able to answer real questions with that convey real pain. Thank you, Igor. Thank you, Stanislav, for being with us tonight. We invite you to see us next time.